This Queen Mary's crown, as worn by Queen Camilla, has a delicate structure which appears very simple at first glance, but I think it has a few hidden secrets inside. It was challenging to make this crown as there is no room to hide any mistakes. The templates are available from my shop. You'll find a link in the description below. You'll need a sheet of EVA foam, some purple velvet fabric, adhesive clear rhinestones or crystals, some fake diamond jewels, a length of white faux fur, and a very small amount of foam clay and a polystyrene ball. Okay, let's start. Print out template A onto card and cut out all the shapes. Measure the circumference of your head. Add 3 cm to allow for the thickness of the foam. Cut a strip of card 5 cm wide to match the size you just measured. Evenly space the shapes along the strip and stick them down. This is your crown template. Trace the crown template onto EVA foam. Split into 2 pieces if needed. These can be glued together later. Using very sharp craft knives, cut out the shapes. Keep your blades sharp for smooth edges. As the cheap foam mats are very soft, I changed to a denser EVA foam so the delicate arches will hold their shape. Cutting a bevel on the edges of the headband and fleurs-de-lis helps to make the black foam disappear. Warm the foam with a heat gun to close the pores. Add a curve to the foam to put less stress on the joins when gluing. Glue the edges of the crown together. I use contact cement as this gives the strongest bond. If you use hot glue, add a second piece of foam inside the crown across the seam to hold everything securely. Heat the crown again to help the foam relax into its new shape. Keep the heat away from the seams though, as this may open them up. Print out template B onto card and cut out the shapes. Trace the shapes onto foam. I recommend using a high density foam or reinforcing the arches with wire. Using a very sharp craft knife, carefully cut out the shapes. Be neat when cutting out the arches as any mistakes will be visible on the finished crown. Cut out the cross patei and the hexagon. Warm the pieces with a heat gun and bend the arches as shown on template B. Be careful, trying not to twist the arches. Now glue the large end of each arch to the top of the 4 crosses. They should be at 90 degrees to each other, even if this means they are slightly off-centre on top of the crosses. Glue the thin ends of the arches underneath the hexagon, also aligning them at 90 degrees. I first tried sticking the arches to the outside of a circle, which would best match the actual crown. This didn't work. Gluing under a hexagon is a much better solution. To make the scrolls at the top of the crown, use small pieces of foam clay. For the scrolls at the tops of the arches, roll and slightly flatten 4 pieces of clay. Stick the bottom end to the edge of the hexagon with just a little water, then curl the top of the foam over a paintbrush to create the scroll. For in between the arches, it is easiest to create the scrolls in 2 pieces. Roll and flatten a piece of foam clay, stick the bottom edge to the hexagon using water and curl the top over the paintbrush. For the bottom part of the scroll, roll and flatten a small piece of foam clay. Stick this to the underside of the hexagon to make it look like one single scroll. Allow the foam clay to fully dry, then seal all the foam. I use Plastidip, but you can just use PVA glue. To match the Cullinan 3 diamonds set in the cross on top of Queen Camilla's crown, halve the top cross and mount a crystal bead in the centre. Secure it with a clear elastic cord. Seal the cross and polystyrene ball with Flexbond or PVA glue. Paint the cross and ball silver. A chrome pen produces a shiny finish and is really quick to apply. Paint the hexagon and scrolls silver, extending the colour a little down the arches. Paint a thin silver line neatly around the crown, about 1.5 centimetres from the top edge. The quickest way to embellish your crown is to lay out all the crystals on your work surface. These flat-backed flower crystals were found on Amazon and are perfect for this project. I cut a single jewel from a cheap costume necklace as the Cullinan 4 diamond for the front of the crown. Decorate the polystyrene ball or mond with small rhinestones and strips of adhesive crystals. Cover the top cross with adhesive crystals. Insert a bamboo skewer through the ball and into the base of the cross to join them together. Cut a thin strip of crystals from a rhinestone ribbon to match the circumference of your crown and stick this to the top edge. Stick single rhinestones to the edge of the silver scrolls. Selleys Quick Fix Super Glue doesn't make the crystals cloudy. Using hot glue, stick the flower crystals to the crown. Glue 4 small rhinestones in a cross pattern in the spaces between the flower crystals. To match Queen Camilla's crown most accurately, add a second strip of crystals under the flower buttons. As it will mostly be covered by the fur band, it is not essential. Glue a large jewel to the front centre of the crown band as the Cullinan 4 diamond. Paint a thin silver line along the top edges of the arches. Attach strips of single adhesive crystals over the top. In the centre of the arches, glue 6 or 7 rhinestones in decreasing sizes, starting with the largest at the bottom. Add a single strip of crystals to the centre of the arch from the top down to the smallest rhinestone. Decorate the 3 crosses around the back of the crown. Decorate the fleurs de lis with a pattern of adhesive crystals. To the front cross, glue a heart-shaped jewel as the Cullinan 5 diamond and adhesive crystals. This cross has a different jewel pattern to the other 3 crosses. Now let's make the secret to this crown, an internal hat. This is to keep the velvet from sagging. For the top of the hat, cut a piece of foam about 1.5 centimetres smaller than the inner circle of your crown. Add some vents to the top of the hat, as wearing foam can get quite hot. For the body of the hat, cut a piece of foam to the size of the inner circle of your crown and 10 centimetres wide. Heat the band pieces to create a curve and glue them together. Then glue the top inside the top edge of the band. Check it fits inside the crown. It should sit high in the arches. Draw a circle on purple velvet fabric by tracing around the edge of your internal hat, adding 0.5 centimetre seam allowance. Then cut it out. Measure the circumference of your fabric circle. Cut a strip of velvet to this length plus 2 centimetre seam allowance and 10 centimetres wide. Pin one long edge of the fabric strip to the outer edge of the circle, with the right sides of the fabric facing together. Sew the pieces together by hand or machine. Remember to remove the pins as you go. Now turn the cap the right way out and place it over the top of the foam hat. Pin the velvet cap to the foam to hold it neatly in place temporarily. Insert it into the base of the crown. Using hot glue, carefully stick the edge of the purple fabric to the inside of the crown, about 3 centimetres from the bottom edge. Now cut a strip of foam 1.5 centimetres wide and 2 to 3 centimetres longer than the external circumference of your crown. Glue the edges together to make a single band. Cut a 10 centimetre wide strip of faux fur the same length as the band's circumference. Fold the top edge of the fur to the inside of the band and secure it with hot glue and allow it to cool completely. Now put the band onto the crown and align the bottom edges. It should be a very tight fit. Add some glue under the band behind the fur to secure it in place. Fold the loose edge of fur to the inside of the crown, pulling slightly to make sure it is neat. Stick the wrong side of the fur to the inside of the crown using hot glue. Make a small hole in the centre of the top hexagon. Take the cross and ball and insert its skewer into the hole and secure with some hot glue. Remember to make sure the cross is aligned with the front of the crown before the glue cools. If you use plain white fur, draw on some small spots using a Sharpie and voila, you're done. This really was a fun and challenging build with many design adjustments along the way, as the crown is such a delicate piece. The templates for this and other crowns I've made are available to buy from my website or from my Etsy store. Stick around and check out some of my other videos.